Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and this review is for The Miracle Season. Academy Award winners Helen Hunt and William Hurt star in this triumphant film based on the inspiring true story of the Iowa City West High School girls volleyball team. After the death of star player Caroline Line found, that's her last name, Caroline Line found, the team must step up their game under the guidance of their tough love coach and Caroline's iron willed father in hopes of winning the state championship. Together they regain their strength and spirit in order to live like Line. This is a 2018 movie. It is rated PG and it runs 101 minutes. And you found out the stars Helen Hunt and William Hurt. Before I get into my notes for this, I live in Iowa. Well, I used to most of my life. And I'm just going to say this before I even watch this movie. Iowa City is one of the major, if not the major, metropolis around Iowa, which should be obvious. Iowa City. It is probably has, how many high schools? Four? Always has, north, south, east, west. So I don't know what the situation is with city and why team is called city in this movie. I'm very confused by that, but it'll probably get explained to me by somebody else and I'll be like, oh, okay. But it's very confusing that, major metropolis would have one school called city in a metropolis town and one would be called West. So, anyways, moving on is my next thought, being from Iowa and going to a rather large school in a major metropolis town of Iowa when I was in high school. Some cities and some schools in those cities have more money than others in those cities. And so I'm guessing by looking just at the movie here that Iowa City West was a pretty wealthy school and always probably has been. If they're winning state titles and stuff, then obviously they had a pretty good sports program. So things that happened in this movie, like I wasn't as impressed with, and I understood a lot better than anyone else would. So I wasn't very impressed with the film. And I think somebody like Helen Hunt cannot understand what is going on and how she's supposed to act as an Iowan. I mean, like people understand Iowa in their wrestling, you know, and so there's a certain language about sports and Iowans. I never thought volleyball was one of those things, but obviously for Iowa City West it is. So I would say that things that are sad in this movie and certain things that people say and do, I could like rip apart for probably an hour. I could nitpick every little thing because certain things are said and certain things are done that just are not like an Iowan kind of thing. And in a movie, they're made more dramatic and than they need to be. And, some of the things that Helen Hunt does as a coach just don't seem like an Iowan tradition of sports coach thing to do. So, if any of that makes sense, that's my first thing to say. Um, I know this is rated PG and everything, but I've been hearing a lot of movies lately, and this is a lately kind of movie because it's from this year. That a lot of movies lately are not showing things happening. Like it's off screen or people talk about it and then the whole movie revolves around it. It's not a very effective tool to exercise because if you have somebody get injured or die in a movie, whether it be inspirational or Christian or any other kind, but mostly inspirational and Christian, it just is not effective because like we're very sad and you can play off the emotions of the crowd, but you need something to stabilize your emotions. You need some kind of, scene to, just show the car on the side of the road or something. But to not show anything and to just kind of gloss over that and move on with the movie, I just don't think is that effective. So that's my opinion on that. I'm probably wrong, but there's been a lot of complaints about other movies doing it, not showing anything whatsoever. Of they don't want to be too gory or they don't want to whatever, but you got to show something. Just show the car on the side of the road with smoke coming out of it or something. Show something. One, I have a couple problems with Helen Hunt, which I've kind of already voiced, but the way she acts as a coach, I mean, there's this one scene where this girl's giving an emotional speech, like she's trying to be a leader of the team, which Helen Hunt wants her to be, and then she walks in and she says, "Okay, let's get to work," and it's just so off color, it just so rubs you the wrong way. And at that time, the girls are really trying to kind of come together and have a leader that speaks for them. And the way the coach should be thinking is, oh, I have somebody stepping up, so I need to take advantage of this and I need to give her time to talk so that she's gaining control and I can step back because it's her team. But no, she just blurts it out and ruins the whole mood of things. I mean, there's another thing too where like everything that happens with Caroline, I'm not going to talk about that much because the whole movie's about it, whether it needs to be or not. That's fine. But a lot of times when they're struggling, Helen Hunt's character tells them that they don't need to be thinking about the last year when they were state champions, even when Caroline's alive. And so after she's gone, Helen Hunt's character is like telling them, "Oh, you think you're state champions, huh?" Like, I don't know where that came from, but it was just so out of the blue. And then as she kind of goes, as the movie goes, maybe she lines it up a little bit, but nothing ever seems appropriate. And I just didn't really buy her act. And she just didn't really seem to be comfortable with her role and knowing what emotion she should be playing. I guess that's what I'd like to say about that. Of course, this movie's predictable. Everything that happens in the trailer, on the back of the sleeve, tells you what's going on. The movie's very predictable. I would have appreciated something not happening, but it all happened as predicted. So, there's two more things I wanted to discuss, and that's this girl that's on the team. The whole movie, Helen Hunt's character, probably as a practice of a coach. I've never heard of this before, but she calls this freshman that she has on the team freshman. I don't know if she does that every year. We don't get to experience that. We just kind of see a shortened version of her coaching style. But so she has one freshman on the team. She calls her freshman. I think as a movie viewer and as an Iowan with respect and everything to this lady's coaching style that the movie's really about, I would think if you get to the state playoffs and if you had the potential to be a state championship, any member of your team across the board would earn the respect for you to call them by their name. I think it would have been a better effective movie tool for her to call her by her real name at the end of the movie, and it would have been a nice little surprise that this hardcore coach actually lines up and has an emotional breakthrough to call somebody by their actual freaking name. And then I just think that as human beings that we shouldn't have to watch a movie like that where somebody's being so downgraded just by having a title, especially in high school. Everything about that rubbed me the wrong way, but I can understand as a coaching tool having somebody earn their place on the team, but she was like a starter the whole movie, so I don't really understand that whole concept. The last thing I kind of wanted to mention is just, I mean, this movie was made in Iowa. It's a true story. It's very sad and everything. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? Um, I wish it wasn't about Caroline the whole time, but it was, and it was very sad. And I not sure how schools were to handle this, in real life. Everything about this movie kind of screams, oh, the same old thing and everything. But it's very hard to like set up volleyball movie because volleyball is not football. Volleyball is not basketball. You can't just kind of go out there and play and the cameras edit the shots. Volleyball, you have to kind of seem like you're doing it lifestyle, but these girls that are jumping and they seem invincible, they're not, obviously, because they end up losing in all this. So I would just say that it's hard to film this movie. And so I understand what they probably went through. I love watching volleyball. We have a college nearby where I live, and I love watching their volleyball. So I understand what it takes, and I just can't imagine how hard it would be for the girls in this movie to have to do things a certain way so it looks like what actually happened. I mean, a lot of these scenes, it just looks like the girls are just kind of standing on the court in the defense. I wasn't watching the ball, fly around. I was looking at the other teams and everything. So it's hard to explain. I just think that a volleyball movie is a lot harder to shoot than any other sport, and I appreciate what I just watched as far as difficulty of shooting and having the girls seem like they're really playing hard and this is how it really happened. But you have to stage so much with volleyball and you have to have it go at the right time. And I mean, if these girls were just actors, that's even more amazing. But I kind of feel like they maybe were an actual team somewhere and they got put in for this movie. So I'm not sure how all that worked. But so, anyways, in closing, um, I'm going to give this movie a B plus because, like I said at the beginning of my review, I can pick this thing apart, but I'm not going to. I just enjoyed it. I know why it's good. It's very emotional at the end. It pushes things way too hard, and there's some things that don't really get explained, but I think we all can kind of sense what it was supposed to be, but it doesn't really get explained. And but it is very emotional, and it's a very good movie just to sit down and watch, enjoy. I can understand people buying this. I've enjoyed pretty much every other Iowa movie made. There's a lot about baseball. That's a big Iowa thing too. So, anyways, my name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and give something to watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. I'm going to give a B plus to The Miracle Season. It's a very nice movie, so give it a try. And thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Have a nice night. It's kind of late around here, so enjoy your movies, guys. Thanks.